Hey guys, want to welcome you back. This is Jason James. Thank you for checking it out again. We're going to learn something new with website development. We're going to teach you how to use HTML. Now, when we use HTML, we're not going back into the 90s HTML. We're going to use some CSS with this as well. So we're going to make it look really nice. So all we're doing is we're going to build a simple landing page for you. And landing pages are really popular. They're becoming very popular. It's something just for a splash page to maybe introduce a product or service that you're doing, or just to introduce yourself. And it's really impressive to kind of do this kind of thing. So we're just going to start with that. So if you're learning HTML for the first time, this is actually a good little introductory to HTML. And if you can see right here, we are going to build this welcome to the ocean. I kind of did a little mockery of it, but basically it's just a little fun little project. It has obviously a picture on here, so that's gonna be your little splash page, landing page. And if it's your first time seeing the ocean, you just want to jump in, you just register here and it'll take you to a register thing. I don't have anything linked to it, but we can go over that as we get on into the course. But basically this course has just some divs in it, and a div is just basically these colored little boxes, and they're actually made from Flexbox. So you're going to actually learn a couple of different things here. CSS, obviously HTML, how to build a landing page, Flexbox, and some CSS and how to color code, fonts, and stuff like that. Just a real bare bones basic, get you through your first website, your own domain or whatever it might be. So, and a good thing to do is, if you are going to buy a domain, buy your name, buy your actual name. So, and I'll have links below to the project files so you guys can download those, follow along inside of either Sublime Text or Atom. Those are free. They're pretty good. But that's what I use. I usually use bounce back and forth between Sublime Text 2 and Atom. And those are just text editors. You do need a text editor in order to make this, make your own websites from scratch and stuff like that. So let's start with the first thing first. So I'm going to minimize this window, and I'm going to go into where my folders are for this project. And I stored mine into the documents. Now, if you want to follow along, I left a link below where you can click it and get these same files that I have. And basically I have two different files. The finished project is called Ocean Jumper, and that's the finished project that you just saw that I shared with you. And then within that folder I've got the index.html page, and I can show you how to make that. You got to make it in your text editor and save it into this folder. And then I made an image folder because you got to save a picture, and that picture is going to be the jumper, the guy jumping and seeing the ocean for the first time, or whatever, however you want to do it. But this is just an example. I just made it fun and interesting. All right, so let's move along. CSS. Now the style CSS is another file folder that you have to make in your text editor, and then you have to save it in your CSS folder. And keeping these things separated is going to keep your file management for your website more manageable. So that being said, let's get started with that. So the text editor that you're going to want to download, I have mine open already, but I'm going to show you how to get Sublime Text. I'm just going to open up a new window, and if you follow along with me, oops. Just type in Sublime Text 2 or just Sublime Text, and if you click on the first one you see, it's a free download. So this doesn't cost you any money or anything like that. So the good part about this whole project-based thing, the only thing that's going to cost you money is hosting and your domain. So if you don't have those, I will leave a link down below before that you can use. I got them in other tutorials as well. These are affiliate links, so if you do click on them, I do get a kickback for having you go to their website and signing up and grabbing a domain and setting up hosting and things like that. Kind of helps me keep this channel going and pay for the whole thing here. So that's basically what it's for. It is an affiliate link, just so you know. So if you want to do that, it's a quick and easy way to get hosting and stuff like that. So if you don't have hosting, we'll cover that in a bit. But Sublime Text 2, you can download this for your Mac or Windows, whatever version you're working with, that's fine. And then once you download it, you just basically open it up and extract all the files. I'm sure you know how to do that. It's pretty standard, just like anything else. And once you open it up, it's going to kind of look like this. I have a project already opened up, so don't freak out when you see this stuff. This is just HTML. This is your HTML index, basically. It's basically your index HTML file. All right. So now, let's see, we're going to go to, I've got another file that is blank. So I opened up two folders. One is the finished one. It's just basically this jumper, ocean jumper. And then I got the ocean HTML, which is blank. I don't have anything on it. The style CSS is blank, the image, and the index. So if you go ahead and open up a file, and whether it be on your desktop, documents, wherever you want to save it at, you basically just open up a new folder. You want to create a new folder, basically. You want to kind of, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do ocean test. So they're kind of close together. Now the ocean test is a brand new folder I opened up. And you can see there's nothing in it once I go inside of it. Again, I want to make a folder inside this folder called CSS. Alright, and then I want to make another folder that's going to be my IMG, which is image, short for images. So I'm going to save all my images in one folder, my CSS is in another folder, and then the HTML, when I go back to my Sublime Text and you create an HTML, you have to save it as, well, actually you want to create a new. And once you create a new tab or file, it's untitled. It's always going to do that. And if you go in save as, I want to save this as HTML. So you want to save it as index.html. And that's basically what the your browser is going to read from that file and then take from that file into the other files. So there's kind of a hierarchy of files that it's going to read from. Your index HTML, it's going to index your website or index your files. So that's kind of what that means. But you're always going to have that. No matter what website you have, you're always going to have an index dot something. Alright, so then I want to go back to the folder that I created in Documents, and I want to search down and look for that folder that I did a test, ocean test, and then that index HTML is going to save that right there. And now I've created that new tab as ocean test. It's filed in ocean test and it's index.html. So hope that doesn't confuse you at all, but some of these are open and some of them are untitled. That's alright. We don't need that. So that was just an example of how I set that up. Now I've got this pre-set up, so obviously there's tabs going to be open already, but just to show you how that worked, that's how you do that. And just to look at the file structure again, we can look at it this way as well. So I'm always going to have my index HTML, my image, because I got to put an image in there. That's the ocean image, and I'll show you how to get that. And then my CSS folder in my file with the CSS, style.css. Okay? And that's going to be this one. So your style.css is going to be saved in your CSS folder. Same thing we did with the image, but we don't have any images. Alright, so we're going to keep moving here. And if you guys want to see how I did that with the style CSS, I basically just want to make a new file. I go back up to file again. I'm going to save as style.css. Now obviously I have one in this folder here. I can still go back to documents, find my test folder, open it, open the CSS folder, and that style.css will be saved in there. And it'll tell you right where it's at. So you may have to try this for yourself a couple of times just to get the hang of how the file structure works and just test it. Maybe goof it up, start over, you know, kind of get used to it because you're always going to have to make these. And there are some programs out there that'll automatically do all this stuff for you. But if you're brand new, and this is just for the newbies, if you're brand new to like HTML, CSS, and just basic stuff, this is like the bare bones basic that you'll need to know. So as far as file structure and stuff like that. So we're going to move on. If you guys have any questions about this, just leave them down below and we'll just kind of move on and I'll answer them as best I can as we go along. All right, so, or I'll get back to you and text you or whatever it might be. Okay, so I've got Ocean Jumper, that's my original, and then Ocean HTML, that's my test. So if you have the files that are opened up already that I've given you in the download link, you guys can go ahead and open those and then take a look at those or just follow along. But if I go into Ocean Jumper and I go to index.html, you guys will see a bunch of code. Now this is like computer code. And the first thing on line 1 is you're going to see doctype HTML. And basically I can just copy that and go down into my ocean.html project file folder. I can go into there, I can type and copy and paste that. Now the doctype HTML is what the server wants to see when there's a file uploaded into your cPanel on your side of your hosting site. So, you know, getting hosting and getting a website and all that stuff, that kind of ties in with what your server is reading. Okay, so once it sees that, it knows that, oh, this is a website, so I've got to, you know, find out what's going on here. And then if I go back to the HTML, we've got to figure out what language. So this language is going to be English. So it's going to be your opening closing brackets. That's what these little arrows are for, alligator teeth, or however you want to, you know, phrase that. You're going to do HTML space language, lang equals English. En is English. You're going to put that in quotes, and you're going to put a closing bracket there. Pretty bare bones basic. Every website's going to have this standardized stuff. All right, so, and then there's also a meta character set equals UTF-8. That's just kind of, again, server side. It has to read that in order to figure out, okay, I've got certain meta tags that are built into this already that is going to read through that and figure out what's going on with your website. All right, so then we have to put that in the head of your website. So you see a head tag, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my test site and put it in my index.html file that we're working with. And we're going to put head. Now the head is basically your meta tags, your links, your style.css folders, where everything's going. Also with JavaScript, you'll have JavaScript stuff. We're not doing anything with JavaScript, so don't panic. JavaScript can be kind of confusing if you're doing your own JavaScript, but also JavaScript can be a blessing because there are certain things that you can do with JavaScript that's already been done. You're just linking to the JavaScript files, the source, and using someone else's JavaScript to add into your website. So whether it be fancy photos or fancy, you know, animations and stuff like that, you can do that with JavaScript. All right. So that's kind of the short end of that. I'm not going to get too far into what that is. All right. So the title right here is I put the Ocean Jumper. And obviously if I go back to the website, that's kind of what this is called. So if you see up here in the tab, the title is going to be the Ocean Jumper in the tab. And that's what that is. That gives your tab a name. So if you go back up into your coding, you'll put the alligator thing, which is a bracket. You put title, closing bracket, so your server knows that, okay, I got to put a title somewhere up in a tab, and then you name that whatever name you want. So you don't have to call yours the ocean jumper or whatever, just an example, okay? So, and then you want to close it with a closing bracket with a / title. That means the title's done. You're not going anywhere further from that, and it closes that out. So it only sees the ocean jumper. So that's what that is. You're going to see a lot of that. So get used to these little, alligator mouth things opening. It's real simple. They're closing brackets. Opening and closing brackets is all they're called. And you're going to see head tags. And these are called tags, basically. All right. So now, that's basically the basis of your index.html document. You're always going to have this in there somewhere. Always. So it's pretty standard. It'll always be like that. So I'm going to space again. I'm going to go back to my original site here so I can follow along and figure out what's going on with this website. So now we have some titling to do. It looks like we got to build up the body of the website. So we got our head taken care of, so the server knows that, okay, this is a website. I've got to look for a title, and also after that comes the body. It already knows that there's a body next, so we do a tag that's called body. So in order to do that, I just basically / body and closing bracket. And now I just want to get in between there, add some space. Actually, you can do whatever kind of space because you're going to work in between those. Okay, so now we're working on the body of that, and all I do is just tab forward. So if I'm starting here, tab, so I want to leave myself some space. Now, especially with websites, you want to make everything kind of uniform and concise. You don't want to be jumping around a lot and doing like 10 spaces and then I'll start from here. Figure out what your workflow is and kind of go from there. Otherwise, if you hand this off to somebody and someone else works on it, they're going to go, what the heck was this guy doing? Now I have to clean this up for this person so it's nice and uniform and no one gets lost reading your code. So, and there is there are people out there that read code. I read it pretty good. And I'll get lost in someone else's code if it's messed up or it just doesn't space out right or anything like that. And if you do space your site wrong, it won't show up right on your page. Or in a browser, it just won't show up right. You'll be like, am I missing something? Why is that off? And stuff like that. It's due to your spacing and how these titles and these brackets come in handy, and I'll show you why. But no, you don't need to sweat over it. If you do notice a mistake in your last thing, you just go back and then figure out what happened. So now we have this all set here, right? We've got this set. We're working on our body. And let's go back and see what we have for the first HTML code. So in between the body, we have this header. Okay, so we have the head section, which tells the server to look for a website and figure out what's going on, because then it's going to want to read the header. It's going to want to look for these criteria. So we're going to have a header. It's going to say ID showcase, and there's a reason why we call it an ID, and there's a reason why we call it showcase, because it's the first thing that it sees on your website. So if we highlight this, I'm just going to highlight it. I don't really need to code it because it's all right here for you anyway. And obviously we can read the code. See how that I pasted in that, and that is a little bit over more above that H1. I don't want that. I want it lined up where it's supposed to be. Where is it going in here? Alright, so I want it lined up with the end of the header, the closing bracket header. So And then we have showcase ID. This ID is going to come in handy because we're going to style this showcase title for the H1. That's your header H1. It's welcome to the ocean, blah, 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 blah. It's your first time seeing the ocean and you just want to jump in. And then I have the button coded. There's a button class. Buttons all come in classes. And the button says register here. So basically, in landing pages, you want something to do something. You want someone to do something with either a button or opt-in. And you're going to see it a lot in the months to come because I'm showing you actually what is trending in web design and websites and things like that. So if you have a website or a tutorial or something to sell somebody, or you're an affiliate and you need to sell something to someone, this is basically a bare bones basic landing page for people to land on first. And it's important for that to happen first. So that's basically it for now. So I can go ahead and save this. I'll save as, and I'll find my ocean HTML. That's where it's going to go. And it's going to rewrite that index.html. So let's see if I got the right one. Yes, that's right. Okay, just want to make sure. And then I can go back into my folder, go to my test site, and if I right click on option, or if you've got a Mac, control, I can open this file up and see what we've done so far. So see, this is what we've got. So if you compare it to the HTML that you just did, we have obviously the title. We've obviously put a header in there, which is showcase, welcome to the ocean. It is your first time seeing the ocean. You just want to jump in, blah, blah, blah. And I also have a tag for the button. Now the button, I have it linked to my website, digitalmediacode.com. And then if you push that button, it'll go to my website. So let's go back to the website that it's viewing it at, and I just basically, and you can do this with all index.html files. If you right click control and you want to see this on a browser, that's how you do it. So basically what I did was control or alt or command. I want to open with a Chrome, obviously whatever browser you're working with, but mine's going to default at Chrome. I do highly recommend you use Chrome for all your browsing, by the way. It's easier, it's up to date, and it's more of what people are using for websites and all kinds of neat stuff. So that's what I recommend. And if I click on it, it's going to go ahead and open that up into the browser so you can actually see what it looks like on a browser. But we haven't done nothing. This is just basic HTML. This is basically, congratulations if you got this far. Most people are like really amazed when they get like letters and they see stuff they just typed and they're like, how the heck did that happen? This is amazing. So this is like an introductory to code. So if you did get this far, pat yourself on the back, have a cup of coffee, reward yourself, because this is kind of the first baby steps of HTML. It's just putting some text on a browser and going, wow, I just did that. When I first learned code and did this same exercise, I was like, holy crap, I never knew that what I just learned does this. And it seems kind of weird and geeky and nerdy and all that stuff, but once you get the hang of it and start putting pictures and images and blocks and how to do fill out your name and address and email address to opt in for something, and then you get into more of the communication part of building a website. Because now you're building a correspondence with somebody and saying that, hey, sign up for like my digitalmediacode.com. If you sign up, I give you free stuff and free tutorials and keep you up to date on what's going on and give you the best deals with services that are pertain to websites and stuff like that. So that's kind of what you want to do. So this is kind of neat. I'm still like, and I can click on this link that says register here, and it's going to take me to my website because it is linked to my website. And it takes me right there. And then there's an opt-in. So you notice that I have an opt-in pop-up. Subscribe, get the latest free updates and tutorials from Digital Media Code. you basically put your address in there, you put send, and then now I have you as a subscriber, and then I update you with the latest videos and just send out different news things that may pertain to anything digital media and coding. All right, I'll close out that. I'm going to close out that. Don't need that anymore. So now we have to get this image on there. We're going to need an image, and I basically went to Pixels. You can see right here it's P-E-X-E-L-S, Pixels, whatever. And once you go to Pixels, you'll see a home screen. So it's going to be just like this. And I just typed in ocean jumper. If I scroll down a little bit, I'll probably see that dude jumping somewhere. Where is it at? And if you see a photo that you want, like maybe this pig and bird on a pig, you can use that. You know, that's something you want to use, you can use that. Actually, we'll use that instead of the thing I got. You guys can use that for the test. That way we can differentiate between the two test site and the real site. So it's going to say free download. It is free, and I'm going to keep mine large, and that's a good size because it'll cover the screen really well. And even the medium will do really well in this as well. So don't be afraid to use, the original size is too big. That's just way too much. So I'm going to do large. I'm going to download. All right. And I've got it downloaded so far. So I can X out of here because I'm no longer need that. And obviously this is the original site that's the finished product. So I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to go into my file where I have IMG folder. Okay, I want to take the pig and put it in there. All right, so now that's in there. And we still got some coding to do, so I still want to get to that. We still got a lot of stuff to do there in the HTML. So let's go back into the HTML. Go back to the original index HTML where all the code's at. And we did the first header. And we put some text in there. And we saw that as we opened it up in the browser. So the next section is going to be a section, and that's our A section. Now this is when we're getting into Flexbox. Flexbox is built in sections, and you can name them section A, B, C, D, or however you want to do it. Box 2, box 3, box whatever. But these sections, you can either call them divs or sections. Well, we're going to go ahead and just copy section ID, section A, and that's the first section of our I'm just going to pick space, and then boom, there it is. So if we were to type this out, most people type it out, but I'm just doing the shortcut, seeing how we got it all here anyway. Is the section ID is section A, that's what we named it. The quotations are very important, and then your closing bracket there. You're putting a paragraph in there, well, that's what that P means. P is a paragraph. So just so you know, obviously there's some wording here and there is a paragraph. So just in case you don't know what P means, that's always going to be paragraph. And then you end a paragraph with a closing bracket with a slash. That closes that bracket out. That closes that section out. Space, and you kind of do start over. P, and you get the idea. All right. So once we save that, you command save, or go up here and hit save, or just save. And if you got the right file folder, it'll save that for you. Okay. So now I got to go back up into my file, and it already saved that. I got to reopen it up, and there you go. There's your paragraph right there. So you kind of see how this is working so far. It's giving you the HTML. This is just no CSS. CSS makes everything look beautiful and colorful, and it's structured and spaced out correctly. So that's what CSS is going to do. And we'll get to that in a little bit. I'll explain that in a bit. And it gets a little bit more involved with that. It's not too hard, but there are some parameters that we have to abide by. So I'm going to minimize that. So we're just kind of chunking it down here. I'm going to go back to the original. And I've got another section here. It's B, section B. So I've got a paragraph in there as well, and an ID of section B. Pretty simple stuff, right? And I'm going to paste it in there like so. Now it's straight and everything's in line, so I'm good with that. I'm going to save it. It's saved. And I can just basically refresh this tab or reload it, and it's going to give me what else is it's looking for in that section. So this is good. This is looking good. These are just different sections that I'm pasting in. And if you look here, these are the sections that are these paragraphs are going to go into. And as you can see, they're colored and they're blocked off, and got smaller blocks with a flex box here and all that neat stuff. And I've got a small footer. I kind of added it into the whole project as just a footer page that'll take you to a contact, which is basically the same button as register. So you can keep it real simple, but the basic idea of the landing page is give people an image of whatever that you're trying to promote, either yourself, your product, or your service, and then a button to get them somewhere. So if I was to do an affiliate link, I would put my affiliate link. When they click this button, it goes right to the affiliate link page, and I can track, what button they pushed, where they're going, whether I'm doing this from Facebook advertising or Google ads or Bing ads or whatever. So that's kind of the idea is with this. If you're getting into affiliate marketing, this is a really good idea for people that are looking to get into affiliate marketing and make money through getting people to a page and stuff like that. Are there going to be some upfront costs? Yes, you got to build a website, get hosting, pay for advertising. But the affiliate links and linking to other people's stuff is pretty much free. You're just creating an avenue or the advertising platform for you to get people to click on something in order for it to opt in or buy something from an affiliate that you choose to promote. Pretty easy stuff. But again, you're going to have to pay for the advertising costs. So let's go back. We'll minimize this for a second. We can go back. We got section B. We're going to do section C. And then there's our first box that we're going to do. As you can see, it's built into a div. And that's basically a division of your website. So I'm just going to hit enter, paste, save. And then we can go back and see how it looks. So the nice thing about doing this method is you can actually see how this is going to roll out for you. As long as you know what the parameters are for website, you can see I got bold text here. I've got a bold text down there. They're not CSS that's working that. So there's some other things going on there that we don't have coded yet. All right. So let's keep moving. So basically, if we read this as far as like what code is, you're just doing again, opening bracket, section ID, section B. That's kind of what we're naming it for CSS purposes. We got to use these IDs in order to have CSS make this a certain parameter, color, and all that stuff. So you'll get the idea in a minute. And then we close it out. And then we're going to move to section C. Oops, I'm going to keep going here. I'm on the wrong page. So we're basically going to continue and then go to where the closing div is. So there's an opening div, class box 2, it's number 2. The jumper package. So now we're just adding packages. It's like make-believe packages that are into this whole little phony landing page thing. Okay, I'm going to take a look. I saved that and then refresh. And then there's the second package. So the first one is dip your toe in package. So if you ever wanted to jump into a website or jump in the ocean, excuse me, and you want to dip your toe into it, the people that run this are going to charge you $167 just to put your toe into the ocean. And if you want to jump in, it's $479 to just jump in. So again, I'm just having fun with this. This is not really a serious promotional thing. It's just kind of goofball stuff. All right, so we'll continue. We'll just go back up and find out where we left off. All right, so we did this one. Now we're going to do the third flex box, and that's what box means. -3, you're doing flex box. It already knows that you're going to do flex box. I'm going to paste. I'm going to save. However you want to save. So if you go up to File, hit Save, or you do Command Save. If I think Windows is the same thing, Control Alt Save or something like that. I think something like that, but I don't have a Windows. All right, so and then you got box 3. I save that. If I go back to my web browser and I refresh that, I have the third package, which is the Surf's Up package. If you really want to catch some waves and stuff like that, they're going to charge you a whopping $6,997 just to catch a wave. So, pretty interesting. Okay. So let's keep going with the code. We'll go back up. And we left off here. If you're following along with your files and stuff like that, you're going to see div class box 3, an H3 tag, which is a smaller text size to H1. H1 tags are a little bit bigger. Surf's Up package, blah, blah, blah. If I have a space here, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to tighten things up and close that out, close it up a little bit. And obviously I've got some text here as well. And then I could probably put a paragraph tag in here somewhere, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it because it is flexbox. So however long your text is and how much wording you put in that flexbox is going to flex to how much content you put into that flexbox. So it's going to stretch out. So as you can see in the original finished product, you can see that these flex boxes are different sizes. And it's based on how much content I'm putting into this box. Okay, now I can make them equal sizes, and then when you do this kind of thing, it's going to flex to, these boxes are going to flex to the size of it. So you're going to get kind of the responsive website design. And just to show you up top, this is responsive, so it's going to respond to whatever. If it's a cell phone, it's going to look like this. And obviously flexbox, the more content you put in there, it's going to elongate and stuff like that. And you can fix that too. If you don't want that and you just want regular sections, you can just use sections instead of the flexbox. But this demonstrates the flexbox on this particular website. All right, so we'll go back to our page here. Go up, add a couple spaces down below. No, that's the original. I don't need to do that. My fault. All right, so I got that. And then this last section here, section F, I named it the footer. And I'm going to put the footer in. So if I go to my project, paste it in there. And also I want to put at the end of the body the HTML, the closing HTML. So I've got HTML here, English language, I've got to close that out here too at the bottom. So remember to do that. So, and that's it. Save it. You can tighten it up if you want. It's up to you. Go back to your website and keep checking and see if everything looks good. There it is. There's the footer right here. Context for travel arrangements for ocean jumping. We'll have a great time jumping in the ocean like this guy did. Terms and conditions may apply. change, may change at any time, and then a contact, and then we're going to have a little button. So you can see that if I just had this as a website, and this is how they coded back in the day, like in the 90s and late 90s, you know, websites looked really bad and not very well structured, and they had some color in there. You can do HTML color and stuff like that, but nobody does that anymore, so don't even bother. But this is basically a one-page splash page for your package. So if you're doing ocean packages, and this is what it looks like. Now we're going to get into the the CSS of things to be. All right, so it's a style CSS. This one is blank. I'm going to go up to the project and find the style. First thing I'm going to do is set my margins at the top. So margin padding at the top. That means there's no margins, no gaps, no spaces or colors or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to put it in style CSS here. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save it as, I have to find that file, the same file that I'm working with in the Ocean HTML folder. Otherwise, if I find it somewhere else, I may overwrite the original file. So I got to make sure it's in the same file system. So if I save that and replace, it already knows it's going to be in that folder. Now we're going to see what, if anything changed on the website. It did. It brought everything kind of up. So those margins no longer appear here. They're actually 0 margins. So that's basically what we did. You can kind of see what we, you know, as you go through this, you can kind of see that your website taking shape. That's basically what we're doing here. And obviously we're going to change the picture too, so that's going to change. So go back to my original CSS, and then I'm going to do the body. Now the body has a tag. In CSS, you're going to have certain tags. You're going to have a tag, showcase. That's the, you know, front of the splash. It's the first picture you see, and then the text. And it's going to structure all that stuff to dimensions, text, centering, the height, the size of the text, alignment, padding, all that stuff. So all that stuff's pretty critical with how your website's going to look. Now body, I'm just going to copy this, and we'll talk about this as we paste it in there. Alright, I'm just going to give it a little space from that top one. So okay, I got the body in there. The margin's going to be 0. The font family that I'm using through the whole thing is Helvetica Neue, Helvetica Sans Serif. So it's going to read these as that's going to be the font that it's going to use. Font size is 18 pixels. Color I used was this color right here. If you're not sure what kind of colors you're using, you can just open up a new tab, type in hex colors. You're going to find this stuff pop up when you type in hex color codes, and you can go to the first one, second, third, it's up to you, but I use this one particularly, this one, for the codes that I used. And if you click on the color, you're going to get the color swatches for that particular color. Alright, so for example, this gray, whatever color this is, I can see I get different shades of this color as well. So if I don't like the bright end of it, or I want to lighten it up, I'll use the code here, and all I do is just highlight, copy, and I can put it in, where's my HTML? I can put it in here, paste it, save it, go back to my page, and there is the text color of that page now. It's gonna be like ocean. I'm not even sure what they call this color. What do they call it? They don't have a specific name for it, but you get the idea. It's gonna change that color. So now I want to go back to my HTML, and I want to change that. I want to change it back. Command Z will change everything back if you mess up or anything like that. Command Z on a Mac, and then Control Alt Z on a Windows computer will change that back to the original. I'll save it. I'll go back to my website. Whoops, refresh. and it should go back to the original. Oops. No, refresh. It'll go back to the original color, which is going to be this pukey brown that is already plugged into the color scheme. But again, if you need to know what hex colors or what kind of colors you're dealing with, if you want to pick a new color or whatever it might be, it's up to you and what colors you want. But I like staying with the darker colors because obviously text colors and dark just show up way better. It's just the way it works. Alright, so we'll go back and I'll leave that as it is. I think I chose white. Did I choose white for that top? Yeah, these are all white. And basically white is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. F is going to be white. So that's fine. Alright, let's move on. So that's basically the body text. Go back up to the original. We're going to show the showcase. That's the center part of where the picture is going to be. And also I have the picture ocean jumper in there as well. You're going to see that tag in there. That's alright. You guys can use that tag. Command save. Go back up to my project. And here is, now we're not going to see anything because I changed the text to white. But if I want to do black, I can do wait 0, 0, 1. Actually, that'll work. Go back up, refresh, and then there's the text again. I just changed the color. That's all. So it's not reading the photo because I don't have the photo in the file. So make sure you guys check that in your file system. So go back to my documents and I go to my thing. My image is not that. It's going to be that pig because I changed the scheme of things. So I'm just going to do, I'm going to rename it pigbird.png. JPEG. Okay, so that's what I named it. It'll read it. So if I change anything like that, I have to change it in the CSS as well. So it's in my image folder. And if I rename it and save it, and I go back to my thing, it should read that. If not, I have it saved in the wrong file. Okay, let's go back. Save as. Let's see if I'm in the right folder. Go to documents. Find my project. Find images. Yes. Yes. That's correct. If I go to CSS, that's correct. And save it. Replace. Go back up. And alright, it's not linking yet, so we're missing a few parameters as we go along here. Kind of figured that anyway. Let's do the second showcase. As you can see, we're doing H1 tags, which are the larger text. It'll say the welcome. I'm using that welcome to my ocean page, whatever. Font size is 70 pixels that I choose. The line height of that is 1.2. The color is white. FFF is going to be white. And if I go down to this, down there, save. And you can see that H1 went to white. So we're not going to see anything unless there's an image back there. so let's not worry about that right now. I do want to look into why the photo is not showing up there, so let's take a look at that real quick. I might have misspelled something. So birdpig.jpg, pig bird, I got it backwards, that's why, pig bird. Let's read that, so pig bird and save. Now we're going to see the photo in the background, so sorry about that. So there's your photo. So make sure that, and I made a mistake, so that's fine. You're gonna make mistakes with this stuff. Don't worry about it. Everyone does, even some of the most common mistakes. So welcome to the ocean, blah blah blah. This is your first time in the ocean, take a jump. So that's kind of cool. Got a little pig swimming around, so all right. It actually looks better than the guy jumping. I'd rather use an animal. That's kind of cool. All right. So let's keep going because we're actually on a roll here. And if you guys, like, I made a mistake with that because I misspelled it or spelt it backwards and stuff like that. The most common mistake with CSS is, you see the semicolon right here? This is the most common mistake people miss when they do CSS, is when you end with a particular style or size or whatever it might be, you have to have that semicolon in there. Otherwise, it won't work. It just won't even show up when you try to refresh your page. A lot of people freak out because like, oh my god, I got it right and all this stuff, what's going on? And somebody will go, did you forget the semicolon? Because that's the most common mistake people make. So just be aware of that. I've made plenty of those mistakes, so that's the first thing I look for is the semicolon. All right. Let's go back into the next one is our P tags, our paragraph tags. We want to size that up as well. So all of our paragraph font sizes are going to be 20 pixels with a color of white. All right. I'm just going to scroll down, make more space here for a second, and then put that in there and save. Let's go back up. Let's just keep going. So the paragraph tag is done. We're going to go to showcase button. So the showcase top button is going to have a certain style as well. So if I highlight that and copy it, go back to my other file, go to CSS, and it's going to show me, save it. Maybe it'll give me the button. There it is. There's the button. Now the button, we're going to have it hover. So whenever you put the mouse over the button, it's going to have like a hover over effect where the inside of this will change colors. So we're going to do that as well. So let's go back into our style. And that was the button that we did. And the button is going to have a hover style. So like I said before, we're just going to style out the button. Real simple. Not a whole lot of code here, but we're still in the showcase part of the website. We're still at the button. We just added a hover command and we put a background. So whenever the mouse hovers over that background, it'll change to that color. So where that hashtag and these numbers are, that's a color. And then obviously the font color or the color of the text is going to be white. So I just basically copied that, go back to our project file, save it, it's saved, we can go back to our website, refresh it, and then you can see the color that went into that, keeping the text color white when you hover over, so that's kind of cool. But this blends into the water. It's giving it an aqua watercolor look, so I can change the color to that. So if we go to the hex, hex colors, and give it a different, we can go to these hex, let's go to a different website. Here's something different. So this will give you something different. Salmon usually works, the salmon color. Salmon's kind of like a pinkish pinkish orange maybe. Yeah, pinkish orange, something like that. Salmon. looks kind of cool. A little warm, inviting. So I'm just going to take that hashtag code right there where it gave us that. And I'm going to go back to my code. And I'm going to go back to my background. And I want to change this background color to that aqua to the salmon color or whatever I just picked. More of an orange. But you get the idea. So I'm going to save that and see if it actually worked. Go back to my website, refresh that, and then boom, it goes to that orange, which is fine. Kind of highlights that a little bit better so people know that they stroked over it. So that's why I changed that color to an off color, not the same color, because people won't know that, oh, what is that? Alright, so you get the idea. Alright, so let's go back to our HTML and CSS basically. Go back to style CSS. And we got the button, we got the hover. So section A, we're going to add padding to the section A. So we had different sections with some text in it explaining what the website was all about, what you can look for packages and stuff like that. So now we're going to section off those certain sections that we have with the paragraph tags, and we're going to section them off with different kind of padding. The padding is basically what's around it. The text inside is not going to be up to the border. It's going to have some padding in between where, well, I'll show you here in just a second. So if we copy that and go into our project file and just paste it, save it, and I can show you what we're looking at here. Alright, so we've got that first one sectioned off. You see how it gave a padding in between where the border is for the box, basically, that div, that's what padding is. It just gives you some space, not so crowded up to that line there. I don't like the color there either, but I do want to change that to the same color that we have with this hover. So I want to do that as well. So being that we are just on that website, we'll go back to it. We'll go back and highlight that color again. I actually want it a little bit lighter. A little lighter. We'll copy that. Alright, so we'll go back up in here. Get rid of that other color. Save it. Go back to our website. Refresh, and you'll see that you've got a different sort of color there. And that's fine. And if I was really picky, I'd change that to black text. And we can actually see what that looks like if we had black text, because I can just change the color right here. FFF is going to be white. 000 is going to be black. Okay. It's already saved, and there you go. You can see the text a little bit better, and it just kind of comes out at you a little bit more. I may even play around with that a little bit. I'm not really excited about the font. The font looks kind of weird. I don't know. It just doesn't really seem to fit very well with that. So that may be a factor with how this whole thing feels. I'm not sure. I may keep it white. May change the color, but you get the idea. As if it looks kind of corny first glance, it probably is. So with that being said, I'm going to change it back to white. And just keep everything kind of uniform. So we'll refresh, and now it's white, and I may have to change the background color to a little darker than what I have it, just so it pops out a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to work on the second div. We'll just go back and keep going. And again, this is real bare bones basic stuff, and you can see that even with the basic stuff that we got going on, it's coming to life. The website is actually coming to life, and we can do things with it. We can do a hover button. Well, we showed you how to do a hover with the button. So that's kind of cool. Most people don't even know how to do that. And, you know, that's kind of a JavaScript trick. You know, you can do things with pictures like that too. You do a hover over with your mouse, and maybe the picture kind of expands and zooms in more, or it flips over to a card, and you can read a description about the photo. Things like that. That'd be more of a JavaScript kind of an action. But I'm just giving you the bare bone basic. This and it's still it's coming to shape right here, so it's kind of cool. All right, so let's keep going. Where did I leave off at? Check with this one. It was section A. Okay. So we left off at section A right here. We want to go to section B. And make sure I have the right thing highlighted, and we'll paste it in and talk about it for a second. All right, section A is on top. Section B obviously is going to be on bottom, and that's going to be another padding of 20 pixels, so the font's not jammed up against the box itself. Color is going to be a little bit different color. Text align is going to be center, because you want this, the text to be in the center, not off to the side or right, justified, or whatever it might be. And the color is going to be white again. So we'll go ahead and save that. Go back to our website. Take a look, and that's kind of cool. Those colors actually kind of work pretty well actually together. All right. So now we're getting somewhere with the other boxes. Now these are going to be flex boxes with a dip your toe in package, jumper package, and surfs up package. I'll show you that in a second. So if we go back up to our CSS in the original project files, we're going to go to section C. So we got section C, display flex. So this is where you're actually telling the CSS that you have flex box, that you want to use flex for these next sections that are coming up in your divs. So you named it box 1, box 2, and box 3. And you can see it right here in the bottom. But we're going to put this in first. And actually I want to just get this one up too. So copy those two, highlight those two, and go back down to your save. You can go back to your project and kind of see what that's all about. So you can see that without the other code in there, this is what it's going to look like, and that's what Flexbox does. Kind of corny. I don't really like it like this, but if you're looking on it at a mobile website, there is a way to like make this expand all the way over and have these underneath it, so it's nice and concise and not so scrunched up like that side by side. So as a design aspect of this whole thing, you'd want the first one to stack up on top of each other, and then it'll look like this instead of like this, if that makes any sense. Okay, but we're not there yet. We're not getting there yet. We still got to get the colors in there and all that neat stuff. So let's go back to our code. Let's go back to the original project files. And we just asked it to do a flex, and then we asked it for padding, and now we're asking it to do some stuff. So I'm going to highlight this whole thing right here, and we got the footer in there. So I just want to do this. I could probably code out for it to stack when it collapses into a mobile view for responsive web design. That's what that's called, just responsive. It just reacts to the device that you're looking at, whether it be a tablet or a mobile device. The website stacks itself so it's nice and clean and not so scrunched up and can't read anything. So I save that. I'm going to highlight that. Obviously I have the white one that's staying white because that's white. The other ones are purple, and that's a pretty good color scheme. I think that'll work. Maybe this is too light. Should probably have a little bit darker purple. And we got to work on the footer, and that's that last part right there. So yeah, we got it flex a little bit. Let's flex box. I think I'm going to have to use some jQuery for that to stack on each other. So we might not get to that because jQuery is a whole different beast. Because that's when you're getting into JavaScript stuff. We're not there yet. We don't want to get into that. We just want a basic website that kind of shows what we're selling or promoting. Alright, so where we're at here, we got section button there. Section F is the next one. So I'm going to highlight the rest of this because it has the button on there and everything. So I'll just highlight from section F all the way down, and we'll talk about that for a second. So section F is the footer. I named it F for footer. The padding again around that footer is going to be 20 pixels, so it's not so, it gives it some space. The background color is going to be like a gray. The color font is going to be white. That's what FFF is. Text alignment is going to be center. So I don't want the text to be off to the left or right. I want it to be centered up. The section F has a button. The button size is a particular size of 18 pixels with a text decoration of none. You can put a text decoration here if you want to. It's up to you. The color of that's going to be white. The border is going to be white, solid pixel white. So there's going to be a border around the button itself. The hover, and then you've got padding around that for the text and the height and the radius and all that stuff. Margin top. And you'll see what it looks like as we go through and save this. And we'll go back to the website and you'll see what that looks like and you'll get the idea of like why we did that. So here's the contact button and the color and stuff like that. And when you hover over the button, if you can see on the bottom left corner of the website, I have digitalmediacode.com. So if you actually click that, you'll actually go to my other website. And that's basically a footer I did in addition to this project, but I just felt like it needed a footer, just some space to go. And then as you read down below, you get to the bottom and it just says contact or whatever. It gives people an option to click on another button besides the one at top, just in case they forget. But once you have like a compelling offer and then you want somebody to click on something, this is kind of the structure. And this is all preferential. It's like you don't have to have these divs or these sections to do your website or your offer or whatever it might be. You can have your own thing going. You can put a PDF in here and have a downloadable link to a PDF to, what's it called? Either Google Docs. That's where I keep my stuff. And by the way, I will have the project files for this for you with Google Docs. If you don't get it, let me know. Put a text in there. I'll definitely get it to you guys. But this is just real simple. I don't have a lot of folders going in. I know some websites will have a ton of different CSS folders and stuff like that. It just depends on the functionality of the website and how functional it is on cross-platforms and different devices and things like that. This will pretty much perform pretty well on all devices. So you can see that most of the stuff that we're doing here will respond pretty well to a mobile device. So if you guys are worried about that stuff, don't worry about it, because it's all going to be just fine. The buttons work all the same. Everything works the same. This is a responsive website, and basically it's what I wanted to cover with you. This is kind of what the industry standard looks like. So with that, if you guys do need hosting or anything like that, I'm going to leave links down below. They're all affiliate links, just so you know. But thanks for joining me today and learning a little bit about CSS. If you have any questions about CSS or want to go any further deeper, I've given you like the basic, bare bones basic on how to build a website. So if you just study what you've just done and kind of learn with that, you can definitely learn a lot with that. Now, if you need to do other resources, you can go to this website for online tutorials, w3schools.com. That's what I'm referencing right here on this page. And you can actually figure out what the body, H1, and P tag, everything that we just did, you can actually go through and figure out what we just did through these references and tools. And w3schools.com is very well reputable. It's kind of the go-to website if you get stuck on something, or if you want to change something and go, oh, what's that jQuery that I was talking about? It'll actually give you the library for that, and then you can do different things with that flexbox, so it doesn't stack up on columns on each other. You can actually have it stack to where it's readable. Okay, but I'm not covering that with you today. It's a whole different tutorial. But if you wanted to get more deeper into that kind of stuff, this is the place to go and kind of read about that, or just YouTube it. Somebody's got a tutorial on that and stuff like that. If you want to go to school and you want to learn more about coding and things like that, like I did, I went to treehouse.com. I have a link down below. I also have it on my website. If you go to digitalmediacode.com, there's a link for that. It is an affiliate link. If you go to that, I highly recommend it. I have been doing that for about 2-3 years now. I'm going to say 2.5 years. and I've gotten pretty far with that as far as learning all kinds of different things with HTML, CSS, building websites, building apps, stuff like that. So if you are into that kind of stuff, you can kind of choose what the most favorable class session you like and go from there. But it is very, very highly reputable. All right, you guys, with that, I'm just going to leave you with that, and good luck to your website build. If you have any questions, please throw them down below. Hit that like button if you want to be notified of my next tutorial. Hit that little bell so I can notify you of my next tutorial, which I will be doing. I will be covering up an additional tutorial to this. We'll do some other parallaxing stuff with different cool looking effects for websites. So if you guys are getting into this kind of thing and you're kind of new, just want to learn more about it, you definitely come to the right place. So yeah, kind of cool. Glad you guys stayed with me. I will talk to you later, and good luck with your website build. All right, see you later.